Hello, English 201H. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. So, I just wanted to say a couple things about papers 2 and paper 3. For paper 2, when you're writing the sonnet, it doesn't have to be the best sonnet in the world. It doesn't have to be about love. It doesn't have to be, you can bare your soul, you don't have to. Since you do need to bring in copies, you want to make sure that it's something that you feel okay getting feedback on. If it's too close to the heart, if it's too personal, and having someone else give you feedback on it is going to be really uncomfortable, then, maybe just show it to me, or maybe write a different sonnet for this assignment. But again, you just really need to fulfill the form. I'm just looking for whether or not you kind of hit the rhymes in the right places, and you can kind of make a coherent poem with some kind of turn, right? With some kind of transition from the octave to the sestet. For paper 3, I did put in a quiz with a proposal. So thank you for signing up on the wiki. If you haven't signed up on the wiki, make sure you go ahead and do that. And I'm asking you, one, tell me what the other version is. Obviously, the first version is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The second version, I can see it from the wiki, but tell me in the quiz, just so I don't have to keep checking back on the wiki. It's surprisingly hard to check. Then, what's your thesis? How are you saying that your new Frankenstein is or is not like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? And the example I gave in class, and that I think is on the text, is that if we went to the James Whale movie that we watched, right, the Boris Karloff, Frankenstein, Mary Shelley makes a clear argument that the visual aspect of monstrosity is misleading, that people and monsters can be equally cruel, equally kind, equally loving, equally hurt. James Whale argues that monsters need to be killed, that even if you're kind to the monster will murder you anyway, right? And that's what happens with the little girl who gives him the flowers. Right? William in the novel, when the creature approaches William in the novel and says, hey, you're going to come with me because you're too young to know that my ugliness means that people don't like me. And William is like, get away from me. You're gross and ugly. Right? We learn that the creature, even innocent, no matter what, the creature's going to be treated badly by people. In the movie, the little girl treats the creature quite well. She immediately offers him flowers and says, let's play, and he kills her. And right, so your thesis would be something along the lines that while Shelley argues that appearance is not a way to understand, I don't want to say people because it's not a person. Or is he a person? I don't know. It's so confusing. But while Shelley is clear that there's a very thin line between man and monster and that they mirror each other, James Whale is clear that monsters are monsters and have to be killed. If we want to look at criminal justice, I think that the James Whale film and the Shelley novel have completely opposite perspectives. The Shelley novel has a powerful critique of criminal justice as being unable to identify the guilty. And the James Whale film argues that people know who needs to be killed, that people get it right. And so your thesis for that would be something like, while Mary Shelley's Frankenstein critiques human justice, James Whale's film of Frankenstein endorses mob violence. Right. So whatever version is that you're looking at, what are you noticing? What's coming up as really being the same or different about the text that you've chosen? It's interesting that a lot of them have to do with sex. There's no sex in Frankenstein. No one ever has sex. The monster wants to have sex with his lady monster, and they never make the lady monster. Elizabeth and Victor never managed to get together. Absolutely. Robert Walton is on a boat, and as much as you might have some fan fiction about what Robert Walton is doing on the boat, no one has any sex in this novel about reproduction. I find this amazingly fascinating. Whereas many of the other versions are all about sex. So if you're doing Rocky Horror Picture Show, or you're doing Andy Warhol's Frankenstein, or the Frankenstein Chronicles, or even I'm angry that it's called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the Kenneth Branagh movie. But over and over again, right? There are very, very different messages about sexuality and reproduction from the original novel, and we didn't really talk about those. So you would be coming up with your own argument about what Shelley is saying about sexuality and reproduction in the novel, and then comparing it to what's being said in these later texts. I think that should be fairly clear. If you're not sure, come to my office hours, shoot me an email. But really the idea is what's different, right? What is it that this later text is arguing that's different from what Shelley is representing? One of the things I like about this is that when we were discussing Frankenstein, a lot of times you wanted things to be different. You wanted Victor not to abandon the creature. You wanted Victor to embrace the creature. You wanted Victor to do all these things. Well, you'll get your wish because whatever it is you wanted to go differently, there's a version of Frankenstein in which it goes differently, usually still with disastrous results, because we tend not to like fiction where everything is great. If you have Frankenstein, the story of an inventor who really, really liked his creature and who really, really liked him, and they kind of hugged, it's boring. You're not going to watch it. I talk about this in my creative writing courses, that one way to understand fiction is character revealed through action. And if the actions aren't extreme, you tend not to reveal character. That people's character tends to be revealed through situations that are extreme. And in real life, we don't want that to happen. In real life, I would prefer if my character were never revealed by suffering. But in fiction, this is often the way that we work out how we understand the world. That by presenting these kinds of suffering and presenting these kinds of conflict, we're able to see how we understand the world. And it's often the case that we understand how we understand the world most clearly when the world is furthest from what's realistic. That as of now, it is not possible to put together a new being out of human parts and bring it to life and hang out with it. It's not. But because Shelley imagined it, she was able to say all of these things about people and how humanity works and what it means to be a parent and what it means to practice science and what it means to be just and how abuse can lead to other forms of cruelty. And it's precisely because it's not realistic that we get all of these pieces. And so as you are looking at your new pieces, hopefully you'll kind of see that same seam, that where what isn't actually realistic often is what's letting us get at how we understand the world. Okay, so good work. Watch this video, do quiz, whatever this is for paper, whatever it is, proposal, and I'll see you on Tuesday having read, I think the first half of Things Fall Apart. Okay, bye.